I had some words to say about this. And since that statement, Hamas has brought forward more than 40 different proposals, relitigated hundreds of times for a prisoner exchange and a permanent ceasefire. Israel's refused every single one of them to continue. Hamas has put forth disbanding, and Israel is refused. Hamas is the reasonable party here. Israel is the unreasonable party here. But you would never hear that if you get your news from mainstream news. You would never recognize that reality. This is not me being biased, okay? I know that the people immediately go, oh, you're biased because you love terrorism or whatever. No, I'm biased because I know the truth. That's the difference. You don't know, and you don't want to know. That's it. And if the media did its job, if the media actually did its job, you would know as well. It would make it much harder for you to be deluded. What is this? Big Nick energy? It's funny how Hasan asks, why can't people have just a little compassion, but then acts like this dude is so cooked? Wait, this dude literally has a red triangle on his account. What? People are asking you, say, why do you say hostages, not POWs? Because civilians are hostages. Military, people who were taken as prisoners of war from military bases are prisoners of war. Soldiers are not hostages. It's that simple. And all that is left now in Hamas' hands are soldiers.
It certainly sounds like Benjamin Netanyahu is planning to expand military operations in Gaza. At a government meeting earlier, he said he plans to convene his security cabinet later this week and deliver instructions to the IDF on how to achieve his three objectives, which are to defeat Hamas, return all of the hostages, and to ensure that Gaza no longer presents a threat to Israel. Well, there's a lot of concern and criticism here of expanding military activity in Gaza. Certainly the hostage families are very against it and have long been calling for the war to end. Many do not see military activity as a way of rescuing the hostages safely, and that a deal is the only way that they will be returned home. The Hostage Families Forum has said Netanyahu is leading Israel and the hostages to doom. And senior members of the security and military community, former chiefs in the military and intelligence world, have written a letter to Donald Trump calling on the US president to compel Benjamin Netanyahu to end the war. They've said this before, and they've renewed this plea today in this letter, and they've said that they, in their experience, do not believe that Hamas presents a strategic threat to Israel anymore, that chasing senior Hamas operatives can be done later, but that there's no time to wait when it comes to bringing those hostages home. And certainly there's no time to wait when it comes to the desperate humanitarian situation in Gaza either. We're receiving more terrible reports today and really distressing picture of people dodging bullets and gunfire close to aid sites, more people killed trying to reach food, and more airdrops. Canada has now joined the airdrops of emergency food being delivered into Gaza, and Gaza health officials have reported more than 90 deaths in the last 24 hours. Nearly 30 of them apparently occurred close to aid sites. The situation is not getting any better, and it seems that very little was achieved by that visit by Steve Witkoff, Donald Trump's envoy. But it does certainly sound like the comments that we heard from the hostage families after their meeting with Steve Witkoff are being echoed today by Benjamin Netanyahu in his plan with these supposed three objectives of what he's going to do.
I mean, you did blame religious Muslims or fundamentalist Muslims as guilty during that Roach debate you had before, so it can be confusing to know your views on face value compared to my consistent watching of your streams, knowing the nuance. Wait, what? I have no idea what you're talking about. When I blamed religious fundamentalist Muslims on what? Am I a religious fundamentalist Muslim who is an Islamist who loves who loves the idea of like 4 wives and shit, or am I the opposite? Which one is it? Unless you're talking about ISIS.
Next in Gaza, but there's very little confidence that it's going to improve the humanitarian situation there, that it's only going to make it worse, and that it won't bring the hostages home.
Hello. Reports from Israel say that the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu wants to expand military operations in Gaza because negotiations with Hamas for a ceasefire and a hostage.
It's crazy because like Israel defenders spent the last 2 weeks saying all of the starving Palestinian children were not actually starving. And then Hamas was like, no, everyone in the Strip is starving, including the Israeli prisoners of war. And Israel immediately was like, nope, the only person starving in Israel, in Gaza, is the Israeli. They were like, how could Hamas do this? Bro, you're doing it. What do you mean? You're doing it. I thought the starvation was fake. Now it's real? What the? Yeah. Also, senior Israeli official on Channel 12 said, it's over. The decision has been made. We're going to occupy the Gaza Strip immediately, which is, oh, wow, so surprising. Netanyahu's war goals have long contradicted each other. Now he seems to have officially chosen one over the other. After failing to get Hamas to concede, he will choose to expand the genocide, even if it means killing the hostages. Yeah, I'm so shocked, guys. The media narrative around negotiations almost always ignores the fact that Israel never abided by the 2025 ceasefire deal, including by imposing the renewed starvation policy in violation of the deal, and then unilaterally ended the ceasefire altogether. Israel resumed strikes in Gaza after 2 months ceasefire, reportedly killing hundreds and promising increased force against Hamas. Israel halts all aid to Gaza, delays negotiations for phase 2 of the ceasefire. Gaza official reports over 350 Israeli violations of the ceasefire deal. There's never been a moment where Israel's abided by the previous deals that were put in place, that were implemented. And it is a true abdication of duty from the media, or at least, like, I guess they're going along with their primary directive of like constantly defending Israel and America's interests by refusing to recognize this reality. And that refusal has led to a lot of confusion amongst people, but even then they recognize something is wrong. Like, think about it. Think about how crazy things must be for your parents who only watch like mainstream news that don't give them exactly what's going on. And they still go, yeah, this is up. What Israel's doing is up. It's that bad.
Release deal are deadlocked. Well, it comes as hundreds of retired Israeli security officials have written to US President Donald Trump, urging him to put pressure on their own government to end the war. In an open letter, the signatories include former heads of the Mossad and Shin Bet security services, and also 3 former Israeli military chiefs of staff. Now, in their letter, they say Hamas no longer poses a strategic threat to Israel. Meanwhile, in Gaza itself, the Hamas-run health ministry says that 5 more people have died from malnutrition in the last 24 hours, bringing the total number of deaths from lack of food since the start of the war to 193 children. Hospital officials say at least another 27 Palestinians were killed seeking aid when Israeli troops opened fire at 2 different locations near aid distribution points in Gaza on Sunday. Well, like other international news organisations, Israel does not allow the BBC to report independently from inside Gaza. So our international editor, Jeremy Bowen, reports now from Jerusalem. Just to warn you, his report does contain images of severely malnourished children.
In Gaza, getting food or trying to can get you killed.
It's kids, it's children.
The Israeli military is firing live bullets.
Stay there.
Crowd control. You can hear the voices of the UN team who filmed this from inside their vehicle. They're waiting for a UN convoy crossing into southern Gaza.
Don't do this, no.
Then they saw the lorries and rushed them anyway.
Check your doors locked, check your doors locked, manual lock as well, safety lock as well.
In Gaza City, the dead from another desperate crowd in the north of the Strip were buried. Their families said they were shot by the Israelis as they tried to get food. Abu Rami al-Masri said his son Wael was killed when the Israelis fired a tank shell. He's saying he went to get food, flour or anything, as we haven't got food. His brother was killed before that a while ago, trying to do the same thing. Children with existing medical problems are among the most vulnerable. Samar Mata is desperate for food for her sons, Amir 4 and Yusuf 6. Both boys have cerebral palsy. Now they're suffering from malnutrition.
Before the war, their health was excellent. They were provided with special meals, fruits, vegetables, and dairy products. I used to keep chicken soup in the freezer for them, as well as biscuits and cakes. Now, All these things are unavailable.
Musab al-Dibs was 14
Jesus
and healthy
Christ.
until a serious head wound in an Israeli airstrike in May left him paralyzed and semi-conscious. Now he's severely malnourished. His mother, Shanaz, tries to comfort him.
You will get better. I promise. Okay? Someone will make us lentils.
This is the Holocaust. That's it. I've been saying it, and I think everyone should be saying it. This is the Holocaust. Israel is a Nazi country. The Israeli occupying force is the Nazi military, and their actions against the Palestinians is the Holocaust. The major difference between the original Holocaust and Israel's Holocaust right now is that the internet is around. And also we have prior knowledge of the Holocaust. And therefore, we have set societal standards against ever letting something like that happen again, right? But the images are damn near identical. And we get to see it every day.
In Israel, supporters of the remaining hostages held by Hamas blocked roads in Tel Aviv. Their anguish made worse by the latest Hamas video of Eviata David, badly emaciated. The BBC isn't showing hostage videos made under duress. This was how he looked before the war.
Hostages kidnapped Gaza.
Daniel Lipsich's grandparents were Hamas hostages. His grandmother was released. His grandfather's body was recovered.
And we need everyone in the world to take an action on the image of Hamas and call them to stand in the negotiation table, release all the hostages unconditionally, to bring a ceasefire to Gaza, to continue to flood Gaza with humanitarian aid, and to demilitarize, as simple as it is, to end this awful situation, because we know they don't have much more time.
So you would say that in exchange for all the hostages, it's long overdue then for the government to say, okay, you give us the hostages, we finish the war, we leave.
Absolutely.
In Gaza, gunmen from an armed family protect some aid convoys for money. The fact they're not attacked by the IDF suggests it is with Israel's consent.
Protects. That's the popular forces led by Yasser Abu Shabab, who is illiterate. He's an ISIS affiliate and a drug dealer. They're not protecting the convoys. They're looting them, by the way. They get first pick on all of the aid, which they loot. Again, another thing that I have been covering for months at this point, and now finally the mainstream outlets are getting around to it. This kind of stuff is not hard to figure out. Israel is doing it in broad daylight, and there are a ton of on-the-ground Palestinian resources you can rely on for real-time information, and that's precisely what a lot of people are doing, and that's why they're so mad at Israel. How many months has it been since I covered Yasser Abu Shabab? It took months for the media to finally come to the conclusion that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was actually an aid trap mechanism to kill Palestinian civilians. It took months for them to even start recognizing that the Israel-backed criminal element in the region. If I have access to this information, do you think the BBC doesn't have access to this information? Like, what is happening?
Gaza's social structure is disintegrating. It's become a place of hunger, chaos, and death. Jeremy Bowen, BBC News, Jerusalem.
Well, we can